boy am I glad that this movie did a recap of the ending to The First Nun, because I had flat out forgot what the hell had happened. Look, man, it's been 5 years since I've seen the first Nun film. Can you really blame me? So The Nun 2 is the sequel to the surprise 2018 hit, The Nun. The film is directed by Michael Chavez, and it stars Thaisa Farmiga, Storm Reed, Jonas Bliquet, and Bonnie Aarons. In 1956 France, a priest is violently murdered, and Sister Irene begins to investigate, and she once again comes face to face with a powerful evil. The first Nun film came out back in 2018, and I was 19 years old. And I remember walking out of the theater that day, and I said to myself, that was fun. But I would not watch this movie again, unless it was with a group of friends. And ever since then, I just never rewatched the film. Fast forward, we have The Nun 2. And honestly, I kind of feel the same way. So I put it like this, right? I think The Nun 1 and The Nun 2 are both fun, bad films, but I would argue The Nun 2 is more entertaining compared to the first one. And with that being said, there is some good in this film that I genuinely enjoyed. Despite how much critics and audiences weren't fans of the first Nun, even though it was a box office success, and despite how much The Nun 2 is not well received by critics, but audiences like it, I think there is one thing that we can all agree on with The Nun 2. And that is the production, because it is great. The set design of the school, the chapel, and making the setting look like a 1956 France was done marvelously. And I think the good production of the sets significantly complement the grim and eerie tone of the film. This movie is way bloodier and grittier compared to the first one. I know that The Nun Part 1 was supposed to be the darkest chapter of the Conjuring universe, but I would argue it's The Nun 2. People are getting impaled, people are getting burnt alive, and people are literally getting metal chains dropped on their skulls. Some pretty dark shit. And I appreciate this film for pushing more violence and danger, because it shows the audiences the wicked evil wrath of the demon nun, which puts our main protagonist at much higher risk. Until the final act, which I will get into very, very soon. I won't lie, this film has some good jump scares. So if you've seen any of the Conjuring films, you typically know how these jump scares are executed. A faint sound is made, the character investigates, there's dead silence, then jump scare. Thing is, it worked. At least for me. There were a couple of weak jump scares, but for the most part, they were pretty good. And I am glad that the trailer did not spoil all the good jump scares. I thought the cast in this film was pretty solid. Storm Reed was great, the teacher and her daughter were great, but I think the biggest standouts were Thaisa Farmiga and Jonas Bliquet. Even in the first Nun, those two were the most interesting and best characters, and in part 2, they are still just as entertaining and good, if not better. Thaisa plays Sister Irene, who is our main protagonist, and she is a determined and compassionate woman with a good heart. And in this chapter, she basically has to fight the evil demon nun lady once more, even though she really doesn't want to. But after watching the first movie and understanding where she's coming from and how she literally barely survived the first encounter with the demon nun, you get why she doesn't want to. I do like Sister Irene as a character, and I do think she is a solid addition to the Conjuring universe. Jonas Bliquet plays the charming and witty Frenchie, who brightens a room with his humor and welcoming personality. Unfortunately, all of that goes down the drain when he is used as a conduit on behalf of the demon nun. And this is where the flashback came into play. So essentially, at the end of the first film, Frenchie becomes possessed from the demon nun, and in part 2, that possession just comes into full play. But overall, I just want to say that Jonas' performance to go from this witty and charming handyman to this wicked entity possessed from a great force of evil was amazing. Props to Jonas. And now that I have talked about all of the good, we have to talk about the bad, because wow. First of all, this movie was way too convenient for our main characters. Like, there are so many times in which all of our characters should have died, but they didn't, especially in the final act. When that final act played out, I just rolled my eyes and started laughing because it was just so ridiculous. So, spoiler alert incoming, just a heads up. In the end of the film, the demon nun has all of our characters pinned down, and it seems like all of the odds are against our main protagonist. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they defeat the demon nun for 2 ways. 1, super plot armor, and 2, they used wine to defeat the demon nun. I kid you not, they used wine. And the reason why the wine worked is because both Sister Irene and Storm Reed's character prayed and believed that the wine was the blood of Christ. and when they got done praying, all of the barrels of wine just exploded, killing the demon nun. Mind you, they were fighting in a wine cellar, so again, convenient, right? So essentially that's how they won. They believed that the wine was the blood of Christ, and the demon just died from that, I guess. I couldn't believe that was the route that they went with. Like, it was so goofy that I just had to laugh. Look, I am religious myself, but even I saw that and I was like, huh? Also, this movie felt rushed a couple of times. I can respect a film that doesn't want to waste time and just wants to get the ball rolling. However, there were a couple of scenes that I felt were rushed, especially with one scene involving the exposition dump of the lore of the demon nun. I think the movie definitely could have fleshed out that lore a bit, and it actually could have helped out the movie in a way, and even the character, but that's just me. And this movie ends abruptly. Like, it just ends so suddenly that it threw me and the audience off. Like, huh? Dude, that shit ended more abruptly than A Quiet Place. In the end, The Nun 2, I enjoyed it. And despite this film having a very wacky and goofy conclusion, there is some fun in here. If you want to see a movie that is fun, bad, and better than its predecessor, check out The Nun 2. But if you want to see a film that is going to be, I guess, the next big banger of the Conjuring universe, you might be disappointed with this one. So, plugging The Nun 2 into the rank system, I am placing this one into the pass zone. But yeah, that is pretty much my review for The Nun 2. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about The Nun 2. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What's your favorite film in the Conjuring universe? And why is it The Conjuring 1? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, guys, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you all in the next one.
After working up the nerve, almost equal in size, I walked around with the iron for any wrinkle in time. I paid a piece of my mind for every nickel and dime, but never less than a 5 and never slept on a job. A killer crept on your squad, yet never left the garage. When your God was close enough to see the flesh of his eyes. Get to the button and press is what the message advised. What's the threat behind the vest is where the testament lies.